Alright guys, hopefully this will be a really short video on just a quick refactor using test-driven development. So let me kind of give you an example. This is a real-world example of code I'm actually writing. So what we have here is I've got a use case floating around out there that adds a batter board when you click here. So you can see when I pressed, I called a use case to create this little batter board, and then I'm dragging it around. What I want to do is enforce a limit. So right now, it just happens that this is my radius, and I can't add a batter board out here because there's just nothing to click on. But in a previous video, I introduced a central radius constraint, and now I want to make sure that that radius is applied in the when I create a batter board, so that you can't make it outside of the radius that is our stage radius. So to kind of demonstrate that, no, we're not going to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and I can show you. We have a use case here called add batter board. It's pretty simple. Currently what it does is it creates a GUID for that new batter board. It you know, when you add a batter board, what you're doing is you're passing in the X and Y, the planar position in inches where you want that batter board to be. And then we call batter boards create. We do a couple things with the tools. Now that we have a batter board, we need to make sure that our erase tool is enabled. And also, now that we have a batter board, we can, if there's two batter boards, we can enable our string tool. So just some technical things going on. But we also need to be making sure that when you add this batter board at this X and Y position, that it's in a good spot. It's in a reasonable place. So what we do here is I'm going to come back to my tests, and this is like how you would do test-driven development. You write your tests, right? So let's go ahead and get some space here. Oops, wrong one. What is going on? What do we got going on down here? Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's get in here. Let's make some room, and let's open up our test and open up our actual scripts. All right, little room. Let's get our test pointed to the right one. So we're going to do an add batter board use case. There we go. And then let's make a new test. So we want to test that adding a batter board is constrained to our stage. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's look at our test. So up here in the make rig, okay, you can see the rig, we've got a batter boards use case and an add batter board. So let's just bring in those guys. So we don't need our tools. What we need is the batter board and the use case there. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to do, what we're going to do is we're going to do a batter board, add batter board. We're going to do BB1, and we're going to set the position to be a long ways in the X. I know our limit is around 180, so we're going to set it to 200, and we're going to set the Y to 0. Oh, we actually don't need, oh, this generates the IDs. So, so this will be, we'll call this constant BB1 1. I'm just going to call it BB1 equals add batter board. Then we're going to expect batter boards get bb1 dot x to equal, and we need to know our limit. I know our limit's 180 right now, but let's get that cleaned up a little bit. So the limit of our radius, we put it out into a JSON. So we have this app parameters out here. Stage radius is 180. So let's bring that in here. So let's go ahead and close this. Come back up here. We want to go ahead and get import app parameters from data, oops, data slash app parameters.json. Now down here, this should be app parameters.radius. So we know it can be radius because it's only in the X, right? While we're in here, let's go ahead and check all of our axes just to make sure there's nothing funky going on with different angles or something. But we can come in here. So what we'll just do this 4 times. We're going to call this BB1, BB2, BB3, and BB4. And this one we're going to put in the negative x, and so this should be a negative stage radius. And then this one we're going to actually put it 0 in the y, so really high in the y direction. And so now stage radius y should be limited to the positive version, to the positive stage radius. And you know what, just to make, yeah, let me finish this real quick. So here, and wait, to equal, there we go. Same with this one. This should be negative stage radius because we're going to push it down in the negative 200. Now, this is already failing, as we expect, because we don't have any code to do that. So let's go ahead and figure out how we set this position. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to update the position before we need to make sure we got the right position. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go to this let desired final x equal x, and final let's final y equal y. Oops, then I have a function I already know of called length, or radius. Let's call it constant radius. It's in our utilities that takes equals what's it, a vector 2 length, and we're going to pass in our x and y, right? And now if radius is greater than, okay, we got to get our app parameter now, so we're going to import app parameters. From data slash app parameters. Okay, now if our app parameter, let's get max radius is going to be equal to app parameters dot stage radius. Now if we're bigger, we need to shorten these guys. So to shorten it, we need to calculate a unit vector and then just limit it. We set it to that. So what we're going to do now is, I know we have another one called constant unit is going to be vector 2 unit of x and y. And then we need to do final x is going to be equal to our max radius times the unit vector x, and our final y is going to be our max radius times units dot y. All right, now we need to just use our final x and our final y to create that, and all of our other tests should still be passing. It's kind of the beauty of test-driven development. We don't have to worry about it. Let's see what we got. Something's funny. I kind of expect it to pass. Maybe it just took a second. No. Okay, we expect a negative 180. Let's make sure we did that right. Which one is failing? Oh, well, here's our problem. We didn't use the right BB. So BB2, BB3, and BB4. Now that should pass. No? One more save. Come on, baby. Hey, everything's passed. So there's an example of using test-driven development to expand a function on, or to add functionality to an existing thing. And the beauty of all of this is, really the beauty of test-driven is, we've added code to this, but we are confident that if we built this correctly, if the first person who wrote this code did everything right up here, that we didn't mess anything up. The pre-existing functionality of, enabling the erase tool, yada yada yada, works. So that's kind of the beauty of test-driven development, is we can be fairly confident that if the tests were written right, and if we're testing all of our functionality that we add to code, that all that previous functionality is intact and working as originally expected. So yeah, test driven, it's the way to go. How do I stop this thing?